So we created a new vision for our business, which we worked from the inside out. A lot of brands go to a marketing agency and say, "What's our vision?" And a vision is an inside-out process rather than having an external advisor come to talk to you. A marketing agency can help you articulate it, but it needs to come from within. So our vision is to be the trusted car brand for those who are proud to be different. 12 words, 4 themes. So the 12 words are the trusted car brand for those who are proud to be different. And the 4 themes are trusted. We want to be the number one for trust. We want that trust to be between dealer and employee and supplier and manufacturer. Trusted car brand for those is about forcing people to make a choice, saying I'm either in or I'm out. But if I'm in, I'm really 100% in for this. Proud should be the connection we feel between each other. And different should be the fact that we can be different, that I'm lucky enough to be empowered. And our dealers are lucky enough to be individuals who can run businesses based around a set of values and work things out their way. So I think the trusted car brand for those that are proud to be different is what we're looking to try and achieve. And I think when you overlay that with those product pillars I talked about, and you encourage people to express themselves and encourage people to be brave and not follow the category, you can really achieve some great things and have some good fun.
Absolutely. Welcome to the latest edition of the AM News Show podcast. I'm Tom Sharpe, News and Features Editor from AM Magazine, and we're joined today by Suzuki GB's Director of Automobiles, Dale Wyatt. We'll be covering all sorts of topical conversations today, including the shift to electrification and the brand's new marketing campaign, which seems to be grabbing a few headlines both on and offline. So it's something Dale's particularly passionate about. But Dale, it's good to see you today. And I half expected you to turn up in one of those woolly jumpers that you put the Vitaras in, but no, you shirt and tie.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd dress up for you today. Take the jumper off.
Did you get one? I hope you got one.
No, we've got some cars in our reception wearing them.
Okay.
And our dealers would like one for every car in their reception, but no, I haven't got my own jumper. Yeah. I quite like one though, to be honest with you.
I bet, yeah, they're pretty eye-catching those, aren't they? But that was obviously the thinking behind it, a really sort of different and fresh marketing campaign from Suzuki. I guess one that's, it's doing its job. What was the thinking behind it, and how's the response been?
The thinking behind it was we wanted to differentiate ourselves from the competition. We're looking for a 2% market share, which means we can be brave enough to not be for 98% of the public. And it was about challenging the industry categories and about setting ourselves apart from the crowd and trying to have some fun whilst getting over some rational messaging at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you guys you've been through your own electrification journey. We're still developing that full hybrid offering. I guess it's a tough segue to make for a brand like Suzuki that's so value oriented. What's your particular take on the direction the market's taking and your place in it?
Well, I think the market is moving towards EV. That's clear, but I think it's moving in a gradual way. I mean, the latest results that I saw, the latest forecast that I saw, showed that in 2023, 7 out of 10 cars will still be internal combustion engine or hybrid. So EV is the future, but it's not here yet. I think it's will accelerate quickly from 2027, 28 on. I think there's still room for an internal combustion engine over the coming years, and we think that hybrid is the stepping stone towards EV.
So how much of a challenge has it been? Has it been a challenge, having conversations with your retailers when, I guess, basically the list price had to come up as you introduced that electrified technology? You're still, undercutting most in the market, but there's a very different conversation to have with customers, isn't there, when there's the complexity of an electrified element? So how's it changed your approach? Yeah,
I think it's about demonstrating value whilst recognising what's going on in the environment. So we created 4 product pillars that we want our salespeople to talk about, which is all of the tech you need, which means that when you buy a base level model, your phone still plugs into your radio. There is an air conditioning button, which isn't the same with every brand. Hybrid is standard, not having to pay premium for hybrid. Unexpected quality. Whenever you see any reliability survey, you'll see that Suzuki always does very well. And the 4th pillar is a dealer you can trust. So if you can combine tech, hybrid, quality and trust, I think it's a compelling proposition.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the pillars there and the priorities that your retailers have. We saw Suzuki finish extremely well in a recent customer experience index, and I guess that's testament to, you know, the relationship you guys have and the emphasis that you place on delivering on a good customer service.
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question. You can set me up nicely there, Tom. No,
I thought you might want to talk about that, Dale.
Yeah, no, of all the things I'm proud about in my career, customer satisfaction is something that really warms my cockles. We've been number one for customer satisfaction via the Institute of Customer Service survey. 7 of the last 8 surveys we've been top 3, and 5 of the last 8 we've been number 1. And we've been in the top 20 of all companies in all sectors for 5 out of 8. So we're really, really doing a good job. And for me, it's not about being number 1. It's about being consistently good. So I'm really proud of the way that we've managed to cut through the fluff and work out what it is the customers need and meet their needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I understand it, you've been quite active in promoting the new sort of, you know, the pillars, the processes and the priorities that the brand represent. And you've been touring and speaking to retailers fairly recently. You're always in front of retailers when I've met. You've always just come off the back of a number of meetings.
Yeah, so. I try to. I mean, I try to talk to at least 2 retailers a day, and I try to stay close to the dealer. The dealer is the physical embodiment of the brand, and it's important that you stay close to them. So I thought I would do a series of regional events, and I went out and did 6 regional events over a period of a week and a bit, just to find out what was on dealers' minds. And the learnings were quite profound, really. The number one thing on people's minds was people. Keeping, retaining and attracting staff at the moment is a real challenge for our dealer industry, for our dealer network and the industry. So that really hit home with me. The other thing was the pandemic changed the way that people feel about work. Both employers and employees, we all feel different. We've all had the benefit of spending more time at home. We've all managed to spend some time with our family, and we want more of it. And that's affected the way that dealers and employers and employees feel about work. So that was a real thing that resonated for me. And the other thing was that we got lazy. We had a year of distorted profitability due to what happened with used cars and used cars values appreciating at 30%, which is unheard of. And we all got a bit lazy. And I remember thinking, I need to challenge this. And I did a post on LinkedIn where I said, all ships lift on a rising tide. And I got irritated by the number of people that were backslapping and celebrating the great things they were doing off the back of environmental change rather than the actions that they took. So I wanted to say to our dealers, look, if you've taken action and executed the plan brilliantly, well done. But if you've done nothing and the market's lifted you up, take a look at yourself, because the tide's turning. So it was about reminding dealers of the need to have clean habits and to do the things that they know they should be doing to make themselves successful.
So I guess, you know, if there is advice to be given at a time that we find ourselves in with cost of living rising, inflation on the up, and, you know, as you say, the tide is starting to turn, you know, how do you go about advising your retailers on how to navigate through that?
I think it's about having a plan. I think there are a lot of people that complain about the lack of success they had from the plan they didn't write. I think it's important that you actually develop a plan and execute it. And you've got to, in times of recession, be clear about what your value proposition is, why a customer should choose you, and being clear about what your value proposition is, having a plan, and thinking about how you're going to appeal to a customer with a recessionary mindset, I think are the key ingredients. Yeah,
and I guess there are lots of things about Suzuki that sort of play in to that market structure and those sort of economic pressures. Are you hopeful that, you know, in the months to come, when people are watching what money's leaving their pockets more closely than ever, that Suzuki can emerge all the stronger?
I think so, yeah. I mean, our challenge at the moment is the same as most manufacturers. We have demand ahead of supply. We've got about 50% of the cars that we could sell in a push market. And we're having to manage our business differently. I think things are changing, but I think we could be in a situation where as supply returns, demand wanes. So thinking about how we think about maintaining demand is a challenge. And I think we've got a bit of time. I think most brands have got a big order bank, and most brands have got a big fleet demand. The fleet industry is really keen to source product. So I think we've got a quarter or two before the rubber hits the road and things get a bit tough. So we've got to use the time now to prepare for our future.
The days of me driving for an ice cream into Cleethorpes and seeing all those Suzukis lined up on the docks, they've gone, have they, Dale?
Well, I don't know where they've gone, but they've all got an owner for them now. So almost all of our cars have got a customer. So we've been working hard on utilization. The only way to maximise volume when you're short of supply is to utilise the stock you've got. Mm. So I think we were at 93% utilization last month. So we're really maximising every vehicle, and every vehicle literally goes from factory to customer without stopping a dinner on the way, which is a nice experience, but it's a mirage. It doesn't stay like that forever.
And what are the lead times that you're looking at the moment? Is it a case of buying from stock, or is it, I guess there's still orders well beyond that, and you're looking at lead times?
We have stock of some models, but the majority of cars are 3 to 6, extending to 9 months for some models. I think that's where the industry is at the moment. So I think we're all basking in the fact that the quarter's done because the sales were made 6 months ago, 9 months ago. And the market that you're reporting on, when you talk about the market movements up and down, are not demand-led. They're a reflection of what happened 6 months ago rather than what's happening now.
Yeah, absolutely. But you've got beyond that stage that we talked about a good few months back now when you mentioned the action you'd taken to get more vehicles into the UK and into dealerships, importing them and retrofitting a couple of parts to make them available to customers and retailers. Is that something that you've not had to repeat? Are you managing
we
things
haven't
in
had
a
to
different
repeat
way?
it, but I think there are a number of challenges. The first challenge was semiconductors, and then it was component supply as a result of COVID. And our problem now is shipping capacity. So I think we're seeing production capacity improve, but we can't get the shipping to deliver them. So I think we're in for a period of uncertainty, and also most brands are having to retool their factories and prepare for EV, which again will disrupt volume. So I think we're going to be in an unstable supply situation at least until Q3 or Q4 next year.
Okay, so some way to go yet.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, we've featured recently in light of one of your many insightful LinkedIn posts, I hasten to add. I will plug those while we're on the podcast. But we featured a little piece about some commentary you made on, the push versus pull idea of where the market's going to head when supplies do return to something like normality. I think your conclusion seemed to be that there would be a hybrid in between balance that might offer the best solutions. So tell me about your thinking there, if you would.
No problem. I think so. There's this kind of surreal suggestion that push and pull is good and bad, good versus evil, and that push is evil and pull is good. And the reality is, push and pull are directly related to production and supply. And most brands are planning their future production a year in advance. So if you can tell me the size of the market next year, if you can tell me what that's going to be by sector, by segment, and what the competitive position can be, I can order the right number of cars. All I know is when I plan my production, I've got it wrong. What I don't know is how wrong I've got it. And how wrong I've got it depends on what my push-pull strategy will be. So you always need a hybrid solution. It's just where things are weighing up from push to pull.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's always going to be that option to have. I think you're always going to need a stock of cars, aren't you, really, to satisfy some customers? I
think so, because if you undercall the situation, you can have the situation where customers are having to wait too long, and not every customer will wait, and that costs you market share and volume. And if you overcall the situation, you've got too much stock on the ground, you have to distress the product, which weakens your brand and reduces your profitability. So it's a trade-off.
One of the key things about the new model that we're seeing some people introduced is, that stock traditionally has been funded by retailers, hasn't it? So, the moment it leaves the production line. So in the hybrid model that you perhaps perceive, will the manufacturer perhaps at some point have to hold on to that, foot that bill as it sits in stock in the UK?
Well, if it's going to adopt the agency model, it definitely will have to. I think putting the stock in a central location that everybody can call off is a good idea. Whether that's funded on the manufacturer stocking plan or the dealer stocking plan, I don't know. But I think making the stock available to the customer rather than making it available to the dealer where the customer demand isn't there is the way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, more generally speaking about the agency model, you've not held back. You're I wouldn't say you're outspoken, because there'll be plenty of people that aren't particularly keen on the shift to the agency model, the prospect of that, but it is happening in big brands, isn't it? So, I mean, is it a concern of yours that a lot of franchise retailers are going to perhaps find themselves on a sticky wicket with this new system?
Yeah, it is, and I think I've gone out on a limb and been very clear about my views about agency. It's not for me. I think it puts the dealer last. And I think it gives the dealer crumbs off the table. I don't think that's right. I think the dealer is the physical embodiment of the brand. And I think a brand is a promise. And any promise that I make or create is either built on or diminished depending on the first contact between customer and dealer. So I think the dealer is important. And I think agency undermines that. And I think if we're not careful, under agency, the customer will become a KPI for a bonus payment, rather than something the dealers feels real ownership for. And I think dealers provide stability, and I think that's going to be important going forward. So I'm not an agency fan.
So, I mean, I guess to some degree, I mean, you're happy to be outspoken, but to some degree, I guess you're not getting leaned on from Suzuki. It's not something that they've prioritised to get their margin up, which we clearly see from some other brands.
Yeah, I think the need to improve margin is a different discussion. I think I don't think the model needs to change. That doesn't mean the challenges aren't the same. So we need to find a way to make some more margin. We just think about how we embrace retail. We need to think about what omni-channel looks like. We need to think about the retail of the future. And the challenges are the same. I just don't think fundamentally fiddling around with our relationship agreement is the right thing to do. If I was to implement an agency, I would have to invest a lot of money in new systems. I'd have to fire most of my own internal employees and recruit people that understood retail. And I'd have to take on board all of the learning that goes with that. And I think during a period of change as we're in at the moment, that's a big ask.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge change. And I think some people have perhaps underestimated, others have experienced exactly what it entails. I know the Lotus boss was quite clear that it had been a challenge for them to implement, and they're still very early in the journey. So it's not without its pitfalls, is it?
No, it's a big challenge. I can see why it's attractive at a desktop level, but the implementation of it will be a challenge. And I think to implement agency effectively is a 5-year project. And I think having uncertainty in the next 5 years as we're trying to move towards EV, trying to embrace omnichannel retailing, trying to work in partnership with our dealers. Yeah, that's a big ask. That's a challenge.
It is, absolutely. One thing that strikes me about Suzuki, I guess, at this point in time, you've got a lot of smaller operators, soulless operators. Are you, as a brand, thinking about the cost of living crisis, not only in the effect on consumers, but on your dealers? As energy prices rise and things, you were very quick to help and support when COVID came into play. Is your mind already turning to the fact that business is going to be put under strain in the coming months? Yeah,
I think so. We took action during COVID, and a lot of those things that we put in place are still in place. So we still don't target our dealers around volume. I've just introduced a new standard which would improve the dealer's margin by £250 if they meet the standards, which are around improving the level of service they give to our customers. So by focusing on the right things, I can improve profitability. And we work hard with our dealers to improve the used car business and their after-sales business. And I'm undertaking a survey at the moment to think about how we support a recessionary-led and affected customer. And we've got a think tank. We have a think tank with our dealers, which is not like a dealer council. Dealer councils, in my experience, can be particularly ineffective. What happens is the dealers meet beforehand, complain about the manufacturer. The manufacturer turns up, presents 400 slides. Dealer doesn't get a chance to talk, and both of them leave feeling dissatisfied with the meeting.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is have a proper two-way dialogue, working on our problems together. So we've got a think tank coming up. I'm looking forward to thinking and talking about how we can meet customer needs and survive and succeed during what I think will be a challenging period.
Yeah, it certainly will. I think we're all concerned as individuals, but there's also, huge business concern there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Showrooms take a lot of lighting and heating.
Yeah, they do. And I think our challenge is the consumer is struggling. I think the consumer that's looking for a car is seeing there's no value and there's no stock, and they're seeing their cost to change going up at a time because of the technology. The need to move from internal combustion engine to hybrid or EV is an uplift. And I think we need to be clear about what our value proposition is, so that customers can have confidence in choosing the next car.
Absolutely. There's clearly evolution happening in other parts of the sector as well. We've seen people, particularly premium brands, trying to branch out into mobility and subscription. What is Suzuki perhaps trying to do to diversify or exploit different areas of the market that its retailers might not have embraced in the past? I mean, clearly, after sales and used cars continue to be a huge focus.
Yeah, I like to think of a dealer. I was reading a book the other day where it described a dealer as like a water-filled balloon, where one area is compressed, the other area expands. And we saw that with COVID, where new car was supply constrained and used cars picked up. So used cars were the expansion area. And the great thing about the dealer model we've got at the moment is you've got lots of revenue opportunities. And just going back to agency, but I'm not going to labour the point, I think agency begins to take away some of those revenue streams. So we've got to find some new ones going forward. So I'm sure there's some opportunities around connected car, around charging, and around car share. But I think at the moment it's about getting the basics right. And I think those things are Horizon 2. And I think we've got a big Horizon 1 problem at the moment, which is around customer confidence and how we make money for the next 18 months.
Absolutely, yeah. There are nearer concerns, aren't there, I suppose, at the moment,
think so.
Pressing concerns. In terms of the network and its makeup, are you content with the scale of the network and the partners that you have? Is there any change or fluctuation you see there? And do you see any drop off, as a result of the pressures the sector's under at the moment?
Well, I think the good news is our network's stable. We've roughly got 150 dealers, and it's sticking in that sort of volume, which is good news. But I think the owner-driver business is approaching a period where they need to think about their future, and they are thinking about their future. We've got a number of businesses that haven't got succession, haven't got a son or daughter in the business, and are thinking about the value of their business in the future in an agency world, and the value of your business and the goodwill that went with it will be different calculation in the new agency world. So some people are thinking, maybe the time isn't for me, and some people are thinking, hey, I've got a great opportunity. So I think there's a lot of people thinking about their future at the moment. Yeah, it's a fair observation.
So I guess you guys are you having more you're finding yourselves having more conversations with groups. Is that a transition that's happening?
I wouldn't say it was happening, but there are groups showing a good interest in us, and we're keen to have a number of suitable partners on the bench, so to speak. So when a partner comes to us and says, look, it's the end of my motoring career, I'm going to retire, I've got no succession, we can introduce them to someone who's already aligned, already ready to go, and fits with us. Our worst fear is to have someone come into the Suzuki family, doesn't understand us, and can't work with us. So we're working hard to get that bench ready for people that can influence the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it always strikes me when I speak to you, Dale, or go on a Suzuki event or something. It feels like Suzuki does operate in the UK very differently to a lot of NSCs. You seem to, in the ethos of good different, you seem to approach the market differently and approach the dealer relationship differently. I mean, tell me a little bit about the makeup of Suzuki GB and, the priorities of the brand, I guess. Why does it feel different?
Well, I think it's about continuity. I've been around a while, so the business I can express myself in the business confidently. I've been in Suzuki for 16 years now, so I think consistency helps. The management team that work with me have been around for a while as well, so we understand each other, and that helps. And I actually like dealers. I love dealers, and I value the part that they play in our relationship. And I don't see them as the enemy, I see them as a partner. So we called our strategy for the future Together Towards Tomorrow. And what I wanted to do was to align employees, dealers and suppliers, get everybody facing north. And that's always been my way. I think if you get everybody to march in the same direction, you can achieve some great things. So my message to our dealers is, I'm going north, I'm going this way. If you think it's east, that's great, but choose somebody else to follow because we're going north. And aligning people behind some core non-negotiables, keeping it simple and being anal about the things that matter and not worrying about the fluff. So I'm less likely to get excited about having the wrong tile in your showroom, but I will get excited if you're not looking after your customers. So I think focusing on the things that matter to both of us is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there something, if you can sweep aside a little bit some of the economic pressures, is there a particular initiative? I guess, your 4 pillars have set the tone really, but is there a particular area of the business or initiative that you're looking forward to rolling out or seeing dealers embrace over the next year or so? Yeah,
very much so. You mentioned good different. So we created a new vision for our business, which we worked from the inside out. A lot of brands go to a marketing agency and say, what's our vision? And a vision is an inside-out process rather than having an external advisor come to talk to you. A marketing agency can help you articulate it, but it needs to come from within. So our vision is to be the trusted car brand for those who are proud to be different. 12 words, 4 themes. So the 12 words are the trusted car brand for those who are proud to be different. And the 4 themes are trusted. We want to be the number one for trust. We want that trust to be between dealer and employee and supplier and manufacturer. Trusted car brand for those is about forcing people to make a choice, saying I'm either in or I'm out. But if I'm in, I'm really 100% in for this. Pride should be the connection we feel between each other. And different should be the fact that we can be different, that I'm lucky enough to be empowered. And our dealers are lucky enough to be individuals who can run businesses based around a set of values and work things out their way. So I think the trusted car brand for those that are proud to be different is what we're looking to try and achieve. And I think when you overlay that with those product pillars I talked about, and you encourage people to express themselves and encourage people to be brave and not follow the category, you can really achieve some great things and have some good fun.
Absolutely. Let's hope there's some space for fun over the months ahead. It doesn't seem like that all the time, does it?
No, but I think often hear people talking about the good old days and people saying the trouble with our business is, the trouble with the industry is. And we are the industry, we are the business. It's about us setting the tone. And I worked out a while back that my job is to create an environment to enable the team to perform. And people perform when they're having fun. So if you can have fun, you can perform.
Absolutely. Well, long may it continue, and long may that advert, which is an awful lot of fun, continue to push the brand and its very strong set of pillars and priorities. Dale, thanks ever so much for joining me today. It's been a great conversation, and hope you're fit and happy to join us again on another podcast in future. It's great to hear your insight.
I look forward to it. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you.